All right. Let's see. Make sure this is working. Yep. All right, cool. Here we go.
We're live.
All right, welcome to Jump Shots from the Goal Line. I'm your host, Jonathan Dugan, joined as always by the wonderful Mr. John Henningsen. Henny, I think you had a better weekend than I did. How was it, bud?
Well, I mean, there's really no telling. I mean, you've been AWOL. There's no way of actually knowing whose weekend's been better for sure. I mean, I've lost contact with you. We thought we lost you at Orbit. I'm glad to see you live and in the flesh. Looks like the flags are strong. The Arizona game is strong. Ravens still feeling good. You're looking alive, so I'm very excited about that. Let's just say I'm happy to see a friend.
Yeah, dude, I had to take a little hiatus. I threw my phone on Do Not Disturb during the game for two reasons. Number one, I use, just I don't have cable, so I just bootleg it, and it's always like 2 minutes behind.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And since Hesse is our friend, he always just blows it for me. So I just don't want my phone to be going off. Then the game wasn't going well, so I kept it on Do Not Disturb because for obvious reasons, when your
Smart.
team is losing, that's when all your homies are like, oh, wow, cool. Oh, you're Ravens, man. What's going on? Like, how the fuck do I know what's going on? I don't know. I'm not in the goddamn huddle. Then they lost, which we'll jump into, but I ignored 3 calls from my own father. Ignored a call from my sister. I ignored calls from my best friends. I ignored texts from you, from Hesse. I ignored texts from everybody. I mean, yeah, you stayed out of it,
Yeah, just to be clear, folks, I respect the sanctity of what this is. I mean, you might recall me coming on here after Chargers losses, immediately after a playoff devastating loss. You might recall me coming after other devastating circumstances. I'm respectful. I just left your guy alone. I merely pointed out Hesse's impeccable timing, which, by the way, he was unbelievable during your game. He had an incredible knack for being an all-time jinx. Frankly, it was pretty incredible. But I was respectful. I gave you the piece of time. I did comment on Twitter because that's our job, is to create interactivity.
You did.
And I did have to make one comment there, but beyond that, I respected your personal space. I'm like, if you're going to go into the Twitter sphere, I felt like that was an appropriate time to respond.
Yeah, that's fair. If I'm gonna throw my fucking heart out there, out on the X universe, I deserve it. But yeah, I completely ignored Hesse. Chase on YouTube said, those aren't your homies, homie. That's true. Apparently Hesse's not my homie because he was gunning for me. So, but he wasn't the only one. I had plenty of people like, oh, dude, what's up with your Ravens? Listen,
I
let's
also
just
think
jump
those
into the
are your
game.
homies, though, homie. Like that is
Yeah,
I don't. What is friendship other than being like dunking on each other's sports teams?
true. Just
Like
being a piece of shit.
Chase, you can come on and we can shit talk to Brett. Come on, we'll dump all over him. You're welcome anytime, and just know that we honestly do love you. That's how you know.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, I shit on Chase all the time at work, about Nebraska, about the Broncos, about just being from Nebraska. So, I mean, I consider myself a homie of Chase. We shit on Hesse all the time about the Jets, about New York
100%.
sport here. So, um, you know, Chase said I won't kick him while he's down. Yes, I will. I absolutely will.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
come
just
on,
part of
dude.
life, dude.
Yeah,
Hey,
of course.
but I took a 12-hour hiatus. I completely ignored my phone, spent some time with my 3-week-old daughter, like a actual parent. So I guess that's good. My wife loved it. Some, actual time together. But you know what? Let's jump into the game really quick. It was bad. We absolutely kicked the shit out of the Titans, or not Titans, the Texans. Looked phenomenal. I was like, oh my God, Lamar's finally going to go into a playoffs with an adequate receiving core. Our defense is balling out. The Chiefs are having a down year. But then again, what did I tell you, Penny? I told you in the middle of the season, I said the Chiefs don't look good, but we know what the fuck's going to happen.
Yeah,
They're going to
that's not surprising.
they're going to get to the playoffs and they're going to turn into the fucking Chiefs. And guess what happened? They did. Yeah, they sure shit did. I did think outside of the first half, the Ravens defense played well. I think second half Ravens defense made life a little bit harder on Mahomes. They got to him a couple times for the first time in apparently a year. They kept dropping that stat. So that
which
was
is
cool.
crazy.
Yeah, didn't really have a lot of help from like, Marlon Humphrey. I think he played one series, which is crazy. He missed a whole fucking month. But the rest of the defense, played really, really well. The offense, though, did not. 6 rushing attempts the entire game. The Ravens, throughout the entire season, were the number one rushing offense in the league. Could not stop the run, right? Everybody could not stop the Ravens rushing. The only team that has been able to stop the Ravens rushing has been the Ravens. And we do this shit every year in the playoffs. Every year. Whether it's Greg Roman, now it's Todd Monken. Every year we've had Lamar Jackson, we get to the playoffs, and we play a huge team, whether it's the Bills, whether it's the Chiefs, whether it was the Titans that one year. And we go, you know what? I know that we can run all over everybody in the freaking league. We have the best running quarterback in the league. We have a really good stable of backs. We've been doing it all year. Why don't we just say fuck it and just throw the ball a lot? We're playing Mahomes. Let's play Mahomes ball. Let's just throw the ball a lot. And a lot of people are going to be very like critical of Lamar Jackson. I think it's a little warranted this game. He did have some pretty bad spots there, whether it was throwing it to the flat like every fucking third down in the world. That's what Henny commented on my on the Twitter, because I was just losing my mind. It just seemed like every time it was like 3rd and 6, we're just dumping it off to the back. And Lamar couldn't hit those apparently. To his credit, I will say the offensive line had a really bad game, I thought. He did not have a lot of time to throw. But again, too, when he did have time to throw, he wasn't really connecting like he has been all season. Look, I will stand on my freaking milk carton or whatever you want to call it, and I will yell to the void. Lamar Jackson is a good quarterback. He can throw the ball. Okay. The thing that sucked was my wife, who does not watch any football at all. Zero, zilch, nada. Doesn't want anything to do with football. Was watching the game with me. And you know what she kept saying? I think you guys are intimidated by the Chiefs. I think the moment's too big for the Ravens. I'm like, who the fuck? Who are you? Where did you come from? Like, are you Stephen A. Smith right now? Are you seriously commenting about, like, is the moment too big for the Ravens? Like, dude, that was the tough part. God bless my wife. Love her to death. She finally watched the game with me. It was awesome. I wish she would watch all 17 games during the regular season, but that was hard to hear because at the end of the day, she was right. That's what I'll say. I think the moment got a little too big for the whole team, right? We heard it all week, right? Lamar Jackson's obsessed with getting to the Super Bowl. He can't stop thinking about going to the Super Bowl. Henny, am I wrong? He kind of looked like he was pressing a little bit, didn't he?
God, there's so much to unpack here. So I'm going to try to take these one at a time because you came in hot as expected. I want you to know that one, I'm with you. You know what I mean? I know what this all feels like. And so I'll take it one at a time. I mean, first example, case in point, my wife, commenting to me as like, and we'll get to this game in a minute. She's a Lions fan. She's from Detroit. Her whole family's a bunch of Lions fans. So she goes to the game last weekend. She's actually there in Detroit. So now, of course, she has the fever. But much like your wife, is not interested in football most of the year. Now is like telling me exactly how football works. 100% invested, and is like, look, you don't understand pressure. The Chargers haven't been here in a while. And I'm like, last year we were in the playoffs. Like, what are you talking about? You guys hadn't been in 30 years. Shut up.
A Lions
just
fan
shut up.
saying
Like,
this?
yeah,
Oh my
like
God.
calm down. Like, I'm fully supportive of you and your family. I'm invested in the Lions. I'm fist pumping last weekend. I'm all in on it this weekend. My heart's in it. But I'm like, also, like, appreciate that I've been doing this a little longer than you. Please. So, ladies, please respect the process. Taylor Swifties, supportive wives, like, calm down. Like, we're in it. We have scars that you'll never understand. Like her dad crying, right? Like, these things are real emotions that we're all dealing with. That, oh man, when they won the week before, like, I think probably, and George, my apologies if I'm outing you. If you're listening and I'm outing you, my apologies. But I think just like sincere, like it's been that long, and to like have a playoff win for the Lions. Yes, tears. So, all of that aside, first checkpoint, wives, calm down. I mean, we appreciate you, but like
Yes.
understand that we've been doing this for a while, and I don't just show up and like tell you how to get your manicure, or your pedicure. I've
Yep.
never been, dude. I don't know. It's not my lane.
It's true.
Um, as we go through the other items, look, I've defended Lamar. I continue to defend Lamar. I really don't have any. I'm not even upset with the way he played. I do think the moment, as you stated, I just to kind of like work backwards through this is it did feel it felt big for him,
Yeah.
for whatever reason. Like it felt like he was what I felt like in this, and I don't know if like you watch him more than me, so like I would throw this to you, but I felt like he wanted to actually win this as a pocket passer,
Yes, probably.
and I think that just sucks. It bothered me. It doesn't like, and it bothered me for the reasons that he wanted to do it that way. It bothers me that the fact that he did, because like to me, I'm like, look, I've defended this guy for a long time, and I just want him to win. And then to me, like I know and I kind of like had kidded with you earlier in the week about like sending me some stuff where it's like the running back stuff still floating, but I guess like it's all in Ravens lore. It's all there. It's
Yeah.
all in the
It's a thing,
the
dude.
thing that like is part of your deal, and I get it. But I'm like, dude, this is not like that's not what it's about. It's not what it's about for me, anyways. Like I've always just been like a Lamar fan, and frankly, I wanted him to run all over. And what I thought was frustrating to me, if I'm watching it just as like a Lamar fan, is it's just putting the pressure, because frankly the fear of God that Lamar puts in people is when he presses the line, which is frankly what Patrick Mahomes does most times. And it's
Yeah.
not even necessarily the actual runs; it's so much as the threat of running. And I think he definitely wanted to. It felt like he wanted to hang in the pocket. I don't even know if that's true, if it was game plan or whatever. They definitely got way, way far away from the run game. There was no semblance of a run game. It was tough, but I also think there's like this thing that's just the inevitability and the fear factor that Patrick Mahomes puts into this equation as well.
Yeah. And
The
he
Chiefs
played
are
great.
the Chiefs are a problem for everybody. So I mean, I don't even, you're probably like signed off social, but I'm like literally back and forthing with our guy, Mike Luke in Tucson, Arizona, who's like a local guy, and going back and forth because he's immediately like right after the game, he's like, Lamar will never win. I'll never trust Lamar to ever win. And the reason why is because if he's down 14 in a game, I don't expect him to pass his way back in. Well, what is that list? Is what basically what I pressed him on. Like,
Yeah.
what is that list? Who's down 14 that you trust to come back besides Patrick Mahomes and what? You have 2, 3 other guys on that list, maybe? Like, that's not a
Maybe.
long
Yeah.
list, right? Unless you're throwing interceptions off of helmets back into receivers' hands for 50-yard gains, you generally don't come down from 14 in playoff games.
Yeah.
It takes an exceptional experience, aka the NFC Championship game, for that to happen. The last thing I'll address, like relative to like just the number of things you covered, and I definitely want to throw it back to you because it's your game in your world, is that what sucks is that in the AFC, the problem is Mahomes, and that's the standard you're being held to, as to where in the NFC, you can literally dick around and make a Super Bowl.
Yeah. We
You don't.
saw
You
that.
don't. You can have a good roster. You don't have to have the quarterback right, and you can actually still make the Super Bowl. And the difference is in the AFC, the bar has been Brady for 15 to 20 years, and now it's been handed to Patrick Mahomes, and it sucks, dude. If you're an AFC fan, this is a really hard bar to reach, and so this is why I really went to bat for Lamar, and will continue to, because it's going to be the next guy, and the next guy, and the next guy who like, oh, I can't believe they got down 14 to the Chiefs and then couldn't come back. Guess what? That's always going to be really hard. And when it happens, it's either going to be the bounce off the helmet in a break and the fumble luck or whatever. But that's just really, really hard. So I don't think there's anything to be super depressed about from the Ravens standpoint. Obviously, you're going to be. Obviously, you're going to
Yeah.
be. But I just think it's hard, and like the breaks were there. Like, I mean, the only thing by the way, I chuckled at to myself was Zay Flowers. That had to bite. But like, but besides that, like, that one had to be that one. I was like, oh man, I wish I could send a text right now about Zay Flowers. But besides that, and that's only because you like threw it over me all year. It's just dumb luck, dude. Like, I mean, I don't even think the Zay Flowers play is a crazy play. It's just like
No.
the half a yard further, and it's magically a touchdown, and you guys are in that game, and it's a half a yard less, and it's a touchback, and This is how the NFL goes.
Here's the thing about that play specifically too, because I had like my buddy Adam, who does not watch a second of the NFL the whole season until it gets to the playoffs and all of America watches, right? Because it's just what we do as a nation.
Right.
And he hits me up. He goes, "Man, you got to be upset about that Zay Flowers play, huh?" And I said, "No, I'm not upset about it." And I'll tell you why. Why I'm not upset about it. The taunting call, total bullshit. Travis Kelce was taunting on every single catch he freaking had. All right. The touchdown catch he had on Kyle Hamilton, he did the exact same thing that Zay Flowers did. Zay Flowers is a rookie, though, so he hasn't earned that respect from the refs. So I get it, right? Like, I get why they called it to an extent. I still think it's bullshit, and it lends itself to conspiracy theory, which we'll talk through in a little bit. Okay. The fumble, I'm not mad about either. Look, dude, the guy was our whole offense, passing wise, right? He was trying to make a play. He is diving towards the end zone. What else do you want him to do? Right? The Chiefs player made an incredible play, punched it out. That doesn't happen that often. I would say 10% of the time that's really going to happen. A lot of times guys will reach for that ball and they do not get it. And like you said, Henny, it just so happened that it rolled the other way. If it rolls towards Zay Flowers, towards the 1 yard line, we're probably fine. It just didn't roll our way. It just was that type of game. It was that day, right? Like the Ravens were just having that kind of game, right? So no, I have zero gripe with Zay Flowers. Like, dude, go try to make a play every single time. And you know what? He showed his quality that entire game. He was incredible, right? Whether it was the just getting open, getting first downs, whatever, like guy's going to be a player. And Hesse, you can kiss my ass about bringing up Quentin Johnson because I did bring him up all year. Yeah, Quentin Johnson would not make that play because Quentin Johnson would not have caught the ball. Okay. So kiss my ass, Hesse.
Just to be clear on the kind of timing this guy had during the game, though, by the time the text hits on the taunting call, it's like as Zay Flowers is fumbling, I'm like, this guy is unbelievable because he's like Zay Flowers, I can't believe this guy, and I know he's talking about the taunting, which I'm with you. Like I'll just say, like I'll just clear the runway on this. No one cares about like taunting. That's stupid. I will say Zay, don't go 4 for 4 on all the moves that could get you called for taunting. You don't have to do the stand over, the lean over, the spin of the ball while talking.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude, just do one. Just take out one of them.
Pick one.
And you're fine.
Yeah.
He's clearly doing like the Key and Peele, he had to do the fifth pump of the pelvic thrust. He couldn't help himself. And they're like, dude, we have to flag that. You can't do 4 pumps or whatever I don't even remember how the skit works anymore. But I'm like, dude, just do 3 pumps, not 4. But
Betsy did comment right now, by the way. He texted us and said, "Yeah, I was talking about the taunting. Chill." Even so, bro,
he was, but
you
his
asshole.
timing was incredible. His timing was incredible. That's what I'm saying. It was like literally, he really wasn't trying to be as bad as it was, but everything he said was like literally a jinx. It was incredible.
It was just pure.
He's a Jets fan, so I mean, you got to imagine it's just like falling out of his sleeves. You know what I mean? He's like, I can't help but do all this magic to lose games. It's not his fault.
I love you, man. You're one of my best friends, but like I hated you in that moment so hard. You're one of the reasons why I went on Do Not Disturb. So thanks for that. The rest of the game, like really my only major beef is number one, like the interception in the end zone to Isaiah Likely. Homie's triple covered. Number one, I don't know why Likely was even calling for the ball. Like
that doesn't make sense either. Yeah.
And then when you look at the replay, Rashad Bateman's open, just flying down the field. Beckham is starting to get open. Then you have Justice Hill, who just, little dump off play. He would have gotten at least 15, 20 yards. We went for the kill shot and it just backfired so bad. And that's where I truly feel like that's one of the truest plays of Lamar just pressing. I got to make a play. I got to make a play. This is my moment. This is my moment. You know what I mean? And dude, the reason why Brady is so great isn't because he makes these like highlight reel plays. It's because he kills you. Like it's like death by 1,000 paper cuts with Brady.
Yep.
He just makes the right decision over and over and over again. And Lamar's got to learn that, right? Because I feel like in a lot of not the big moments during the regular season, I feel like regular season he kills it, right? That's why he's on his way to his second MVP. But in the playoffs historically, the reason why people are like, oh, Lamar Jackson chokes, blah, 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 it's because I feel like he just tries to do too much. And this was a perfect example of that. And just the timing of his throws and everything was just off this game, right? He still was able to do some incredible things. That first touchdown to Zay Flowers, where he just shrugged the guy off like that, ran around and tossed it. That's Lamar. That's why the dude's getting the MVP. Like he makes plays that legit maybe like two other guys in the league can make.
Yeah.
It's like
No, that play was
Mahomes and
incredible.
it's like Mahomes and Josh Allen, right? Maybe you can even maybe throw Herbert in there. Herbert does that kind of crap
Yeah,
too.
but it's not a big list. Whatever it is, yeah, it
Yeah,
doesn't even. Yeah,
it's legit like 3 or 4 guys, right? And Lamar just does it pretty consistently during the regular season, and he's grown as a passer. It's just he didn't show that this game. The thing that really hindered it though was the simple fact that 6 rushing attempts is just stupid. It is so dumb, especially when you have Gus Edwards, who literally went for 15 yards on his first rush and then never got another attempt. we signed Dalvin Cook from the Jets, thanks Hesse, and I don't think Dalvin Cook got 1 carry, right? It was the Justice Hill show who, to be fair, the carries he got, he looked pretty good. But then they just abandoned the run. And the thing about that is, then you're predictable. Now the Chiefs can just pin their ears back, go full force at you, and that's exactly what they did. The Charles Omenihu like strip sack fumble, that's all they did. They knew that they're going to throw the ball. Chris Jones had a huge day, just pushing the pocket forward because he knew you're not going to run the ball. All I need to do is push this freaking guard in front of you, and it's going to cause havoc and cause you to run around, and then my edge rushers can come get you. Like that's all it was. There, and the thing that blows my mind is how can we keep blaming the offensive coordinator, right? And you're going to laugh at this, and I know you're going to laugh at this because you know where I'm going with this. We saw it with Greg Roman, where we abandoned the run. We've seen it now with Todd Monken, where we abandoned the run in huge playoff games. All right, Greg Roman's gone. Todd Monken is brand new. Who is still here? All these things keep happening under.
so there's only one Harbaugh left.
I mean, not yet, but I think I speak for a lot of Ravens fans because I see them on Twitter that are now starting to question John Harbaugh a lot more than they have. There's definitely like that little group of, not even little, it's a pretty large group of Ravens fans that have been calling for Harbaugh's head for a while. And I kind of like dip my toe in that little group every now and again, as you see on the show.
Is there like an anti-Lamar camp now?
Not that I've seen, no. I have not seen yet an anti-Lamar camp. I feel like a lot of Ravens fans feel like Lamar kind of gets set up to fail, whether it was previously from roster construction, not getting in the receivers, blah, blah, blah. This year, you can't make that argument. But then now a lot of people are putting the blame on the coaching staff of just like play calling. But part of that too, this is why it's such a conundrum because like one of the big reasons Lamar had a big year this year is because he was able to call his own plays at the line of scrimmage too. He was able to audible. He was able to change the play call, whatever. Well, Lamar could have done that a lot on Sunday, and he didn't. And I think that lends itself to the theory of what you said is like maybe Lamar was kind of like chasing the glory a little bit. He wanted to prove, hey, I'm a pocket passer. I can do this. And the thing that's frustrating for me with that is like, dude, a week before you had 150 passing yards, but you had 4 touchdowns and you had 100 rushing yards, and you just beat the living shit out of the Texans, who beat the living shit out of the Browns the week before that. Why didn't we just do that? Like, you can't tell me that the game plan dictated that because the week before the Bills put 180 rushing yards on the Chiefs. The Chiefs have one of the worst run defenses in the league. They have one of the best passing defenses in the league. So ultimately it comes down to coaching, right? I mean, am I wrong in thinking that?
I think it's just a trickier answer than that. I mean, that's the thing. I don't know. So I go back and forth because the part of me that is Camp Harbaugh is that the Chargers son, Jim Harbaugh. No, but the part of me that's Team Harbaugh is just like I like this idea of like foundational excellence, which is what you've had.
Yeah, for sure.
Like the reason, right, you're nitpicking as a Ravens fan and that you get to nitpick is because it's nitpickable and because it's not like an organizational failure. You're not the, the Browns or, whoever. You just pick your franchise. And I know the Browns had a great year where they piecemealed Flacco in there and it was
Oh,
cute. Um,
so weird.
but like, right, like, so the reason it's not foundationally broken is because you have that stronghold, I think, and I really truly believe that. So it's really hard for me as an outsider to be like, oh, I know it sucks. You make the playoffs every year and you get a puncher's chance. And again, like, the thing is, and you run up against it, and Trophy Chase is in here in the chat. He knows, as a Denver fan, which I forget how much I dislike Chase. I mean, Nebraska and the Broncos. I mean, like, who could like this guy? But
Dude,
like,
not me. Not me.
yeah, I mean, he's like so likable as a person, but I'm like, what are you doing with your like life choices are so questionable. But like, I just, but it's just like, it's so foundationally strong, and it's so good there, and you're gonna have a chance. But I think maybe you just have to live with the learning curve of Lamar. Maybe this is just like another, maybe this is just a little bit longer story than you want. Like, maybe you want the narrative. Like, everybody wants to win immediately. You want that immediacy. Maybe the reality is he was living instinctually for a long time, and the instinct was to run. The thing is, like, it bothers me is I think he just has rabbit ears. You know what I mean? I think he hears all of it, and I don't
Yeah.
even think it's like rabbit ears, because I think it's amplified around him, like, by no fault of his own. Frankly, I think it's always been right. Like, the conversations we have about Lamar. I mean, I see it with you, right? This is why I was kind of like kidding you earlier in the week when you were like, "Hey, this and that." I was like, "Whoa, dude, you're just like, stay in the bunker. You're acting weird again. Like, you're in that Ravens bunker right now." And I get it, because I get the same thing about Herbert, right? Like, it's like people are already jumping on Herbert. Like, well, it's Herbert. I'm like, yeah, the Chargers have sucked for 70 years or 58 years and counting. But yeah, you're right. It's like Justin Herbert is definitely the problem. So, like, foundationally, you have Harbaugh that works. I think you have Lamar that works, and I think it might just be that there's like just another lump, man. Like, this is a good team. Maybe it's tough to like rebuild and do this again. I've heard some fodder about like whether it's sustainable for the Ravens, but I mean, dude, you're in the AFC Championship game. You're hosting a home playoff game. If you
Yeah.
do that enough times,
The
I mean, I
dam's
don't
gonna
know what else
break.
you can ask
Yeah.
for. Like, what else can you ask for?
Patrick Mahomes just tears ACL the game before.
Yeah, we all are rooting for Patrick Mahomes injuries. That's what I'm saying. Like, but we all need that. Like, that's what the AFC needs. Like, just to give us a shot. I just don't know. It's like, it's so tough, man. I
Yeah.
just think it's so tough. Give me Purdy and Jalen Hurts and a banged up Stafford. Like, I would kill to be in the NFC. We're
Yeah.
in a
No,
Super
I
Bowl next
agree.
year.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, we're probably not, but I mean, I feel like it just feels like that. It's just like, dude, Jared Goff, that's as good as it gets. Purdy, Hurts.
Dude, you're talking to a Ravens fan. We beat both of those teams by like multiple touchdowns. Like, we mopped the floor with them, right?
And those
And
guys are fine.
but they're
That's
not
but
Mahomes.
fine.
They're not Josh
They're
Allen.
fine.
They're
Yeah,
not Lamar
exactly. They're
Jackson,
fine.
They don't strike fear into you, really,
No,
right? Like, I don't get nervous playing Brock Purdy. I don't get nervous playing Jared Goff, right?
no,
I don't even
you
get
just
nervous playing
don't.
Stafford anymore.
No,
Like,
you don't.
but the AFC is just like the conference of quarterbacks. Like, and you look at even the teams that didn't make it, right? Next year, you have to deal with Joe Burrow being back. Next year, you probably got Deshaun Watson maybe playing okay. Like, I don't know. I can't deal with
Yeah,
it.
it's hard
Justin
to say,
Herbert
but yes,
probably going to have a great year next year because he's going to have stability with Harbaugh, right? Like, he's not going to have Staley there just pissing down his leg every time times get tough. So, like, it's just going to get tougher. And that's where, like, I had to take a 12-hour like hiatus, because here's the thing, dude, this was our year. Like, we
I know.
absolutely just steamrolled the regular season, destroyed the Texans, and like, it was the perfect year to do it, right? Like, Chargers had a down year, Bengals had a down year, the Browns lost their quarterback, the
This doesn't
Texans
even seem
were
like a good Chiefs team, dude.
no, I've been saying that all year, dude. This is not a good Chiefs team. It's
I
not.
don't even know if
I
this is
would
a good
not be
Chiefs team.
surprised if
I
they
think it
lose
might
to the
be
Niners.
better next year. I know.
Yeah. And like, that's the thing. And the Ravens, I think anybody that actually watches football will say the Ravens are a better team than the Chiefs this year. The Chiefs just are, I guess, more battle tested. They've been here like
Yeah,
4 out of 6 years now. Like, it's insane. So they just know how to do it, right? They have Hall of Fame guys. Like, Kelsey's definitely a Hall of Famer.
yeah.
Freaking Chris Jones would be a Hall of Famer. Patrick Mahomes is already in the conversation of best of all time, even though
he's already my GOAT. I mean, I don't even know what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tough to tackle Tom Brady, but like
I
he's
know,
in the
but he's like
conversation.
on pace.
Yes, very
He's
much
very
so.
on schedule. Like that's
Yeah,
the problem. Like
he's
he's
definitely the
annoyingly on
second coming.
schedule. Yeah, it's a little annoying that I can consider him like the blue line, and I'm like, yeah, it comes at 10:24.
And
He'll
he's
be here.
28. He's 28
Yeah,
years old, dude. Like, what the fuck? Like, we have 10 more years of this shit. You know what I mean? And you look at the Ravens roster construction, like they had a lot of guys overperforming on 1-year deals. You know, Jadeveon Clowney finally kind of coming to his potential. Had a great year, right? You have Kyle Van Noy, who did nothing for the Chargers, did nothing for the Patriots, did nothing for the Lions. Comes to us in week 3 and he has like 8 sacks. Like, he's never going to do that again, especially at his age. Like, I'm just being honest. I
yeah, I
loved
get
him
you.
this year. He was fun to watch, but like he's never going to do that again, right? And then you have like an aging left tackle who can't stay on the field. You have Marlon Humphrey who can't stay on the field. You have Matty BK who's about to get fucking paid because he had 14 sacks this year. He's gone, right? Like there's a lot of guys that are going to be gone. And it's just like now you have Lamar in his contract, which like I'd still do that contract again and again and again and again because this team goes nowhere without him. But like it's just going to be tougher to build around him now. It just is. And it's like, well, what the hell do we do? You know? I don't know. That's what was tough for me because I was just like, this if we were going to do it, this was going to be the year to do it. The NFC fucking sucks. We probably would have destroyed either one of those teams. I was already looking at not Super Bowl tickets because they're $8,000 a piece, but my brother lives in Vegas. I could have gone at least enjoyed the atmosphere, gone to the
Yeah,
casino and
yeah,
watched it. You know what I mean? Like I could have enjoyed that. But no, like now, like my wife asked me, she goes, "Babe, what are we gonna do for the Super Bowl?" She asked me at 5 minutes after the game, by the way. So again, babe, thanks for the timing. And I
situational
looked at her and I
awareness.
was just like, I don't know. I don't even know if I want to watch it. I'm gonna watch it, of course, because I'm a sicko. But like it completely deflated everything, you know? Just sucks. As I'm
Yeah,
gonna be watching that game, and I'm just gonna be like, I know we're better than both these teams. Like on a regular day, we are better than both of these teams. And I hope that Lamar learned a lot. Like, dude, stick to what works. Like, you are a dynamic rushing quarterback that can throw the ball and can make a play, but you don't have to be a pocket passer. It's not 2004, dude. Like, you go be who you are. I hope Zay Flowers learned, like, you got to earn a little bit of fucking cred before you try to go beast mode on a Chiefs defender after making a hell of a play. And I hope that the Ravens go into this offseason and just figure a way to do it. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the Chiefs have done it, right? Chiefs have figured out a way to build around Mahomes with a massive contract. Like the Bills kind of have. I mean, they're always in the playoffs. They always lose to
yeah.
the Chiefs too.
Bills are unfortunate, man. They're like they
Yeah.
give the Chiefs a run for their money every year.
Yeah.
I
You
gotta
know,
say, like, dude, I know there's still a lot of like Josh Allen detractors too, and I'm like, I don't know, say what you want, man. He's like 3 points away from beating him every damn time, and I know that's not like fun to say, and I understand why it's easy to critique him. It's classic. It's very like NBA vibes, where you're just like,
yeah.
oh, you know who sucks? The guy who loses to LeBron. I'm like, I guessed it. You know what I mean?
Chase,
Like, I
Chase
guess,
just said,
but
Chase just said, get Derrick Henry and add Mike Evans. Look, I would love to do that, and getting Derrick Henry, a 30-year-old running back, that's the most Ravens thing in the world. Okay.
Chase is like all-time fan. That's our fantasy guy, by the way, in case you're
Yeah.
wondering who's like
Yeah.
who's building a fantasy team for the Ravens. Just
Yeah. Mike
real
Evans.
quick.
Hey, the Ravens love adding just receivers that are, past the prime of their career, kind of going on the down.
Yeah, I think Mike Evans has too
Perfect
much left
signing.
in the tank. I think 2 more years, like you're ready.
Yeah.
Like,
I
hold
think,
on, don't pump the brakes on Mike Evans. He looked pretty
yeah.
productive there for a minute.
And you know that he's going to go to the Chiefs anyway, right? Like it's just going to happen. So just any way they can piss off America. And let's get to the crux of all of this because a lot of people are saying that maybe the fix was in. And I'm interested to hear your point of view. Let me lay out the blueprint, okay? Because both games might have been affected by this, okay? There were a lot of questionable calls in the Ravens game, right? That last play or towards the last end of the game where who was it? Was it Beckham got knocked to no, Isaiah Likely got knocked to the ground by a Chiefs defender, no call at all. Everybody was saying that's pass interference, it's obvious. But there were a lot of calls like that, right? Or like
Yeah.
even the one where Clowney kind of bumped Mahomes into the head and he goes flying because that's what he does. There's just a lot of like, okay, come on, but it wasn't being called both ways. Okay. At the end of the day, I'm not going to say that the Ravens got like cheated out because of a conspiracy theory, but like it's being brought up. I think it's got a little bit of juice because Taylor Swift. Let's be real. Your wife probably watched that game, did she not?
100%.
Why did she watch the game? She's not a big Lamar Jackson fan, right?
Yeah, you know exactly why she watched that game.
Watch because of
She's
Taylor.
like, she's like,
Yeah,
so we have our royal family is
yep,
on at 1, and then after that, my Lions are on at 4:30. So
yeah,
yeah, 100%.
yeah. No, and I mean, I saw your wife on her Instagram. She literally put the clip of Travis Kelce saying "I love you" to Taylor Swift. That's money. And I saw a tweet. I don't know the specifics of the tweet. I didn't write it down or take a screenshot or anything. But like Taylor Swift has generated an insane amount of revenue for the NFL. Like an insane
Oh,
amount.
yeah, real quick, earmuffs for you too. I bet an insane amount of money on the Chiefs, and like, hey, look, that baby cashed. We all knew what was going down. On, yeah,
Thanks
but
for being the foxhole with me, bud. It's fine. Money talks, bullshit walks.
hey,
I get it.
there was time still where Chelsea's like going, hey, like, are you like rooting against like Taylor's boyfriend? And I was like, look, I got money in the Chiefs, and I'd like to see that cash, but I really like Lamar, and if he can come back here, like, that's fine too. It ain't that big a deal.
I love that she
It's
references
not the
it, by
life
the way.
savings, you know.
I love that she references it. Are you rooting against Taylor's boyfriend? Like,
Yeah, no, it's not even like Travis or anything. Yeah, for sure.
no,
It's
no.
just
God. So like that there's that part of it, right? Like,
sure.
all right, we gotta make sure Taylor Swift's in Allegiant Stadium, on February 11th. That's just gonna bring butts into seats, eyes onto the screens, a whole different revenue source that the NFL's never had before.
Yep.
Okay. So I mean, that has a little bit of legs. Then you look at the other game, the Lions and the Niners. Lions are up 24-7. Now, is anybody really going to be that interested in a Lions Chiefs Super Bowl? I mean, there's going to be a part of America that is absolutely right. Like you and me, dude, I would be rooting for the Lions so damn hard.
Yeah.
Like the ghost of Barry Sanders, who's not dead, but the ghost of Barry Sanders,
Sure.
like
Yeah.
that's who I'm rooting for. Calvin Johnson,
Do
all
it
the
for
guys
Megatron.
before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
do it, and then just doing it for the city of Detroit. I
Do it
mean,
for
that'd be
Herman
sick.
Moore. Come on, Brett Perriman. Let's do this. Scott Mitchell.
Yeah. Go
Yeah.
ahead and name. Are we just doing obscure football players again? Is that
I mean,
just
I don't
guys
know.
being dudes?
I get excited about I just really was first of all, it'd be a better uniform game.
Blue
We
and
need some
red.
blue
Yeah,
red.
for
Yeah, I don't
sure.
want all
Yeah.
red. And then
Yeah. Yeah.
then there's part of me of like the Lions like deciding like, do we wear the Thanksgiving throwbacks that
Ooh.
America loves that we're
Ooh.
2-27 in, like, but like, God, this sucks. All right, go ahead. Continue your conspiracy theory. I'm just pissed at this result that we have.
Right.
I'm
Right.
not interested, by the way. I mean, I'll watch, but I'm not interested.
But then obviously the Niners turn it back on, right? And they come back and win. Let's be honest. There's a large contingent of America that are 49er fans, right?
Yep.
Especially on the West Coast. I think on the West Coast, my wife was the one that said it. You're either a Raiders fan, a Niners fan, or a Cowboys fan. Well, the Raiders suck ass. Cowboys did what the Cowboys do. Niners are going to put butts in seats again, just like Taylor Swift, right? So now the NFL has put together just the ultimate way to, make as much freaking money as they can on this, right? Oh, and your brother just said the real winner of the playoff has been Juszczyk's wife, and I completely agree. Those jackets are pretty cool. So yes,
Yeah, sure.
real winner. She's also a smoke show. So congrats to you, Kyle Juszczyk. But I mean, ultimately, we should have known, right? Like looking into this weekend, we should have known this was what was going to happen. It's a replay of 2020, one of the most watched Super Bowls ever, I think. So like, just made too much sense.
It does. I don't even know. I just know that this was everything that I thought it would be. This is. I mean, I will say I was riding Lions. I took a lot of Lions plus 7.5, which was a nice, comfy spot to be in. Also, to parlay some items,
You
and
made some good money this weekend,
it
didn't
was
you?
a good weekend from that perspective because, like, I felt like I knew what was going to happen to what you're saying. So that's not really counterintuitive to your conspiracy theory. I just thought football guy. I just know stuff. I know
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Um,
Big Brain
But can we?
John.
But we should talk about the other game. We should at least
Yeah,
give some time to the other game. And I will just simply say this was tragic.
it was.
This was hard to watch. This was everything. I mean, God, I'm really with my in-laws, my family, my wife, and I'm like really trying to support it. The weekend before, I'm like absolutely fired up that the Lions won. I'm like into it, and I'm still pulling for them on Sunday. Don't get me wrong; it didn't change. But when I started to see it started to spin the other way, and I could see the Campbell. I'm like Campbell, you're getting crazy. Like, just kick one field goal, please. And I'm not like here to like even legislate. Like, I think he is who he is. He does what he does, and so I
He's
think that's
just a knee
honestly
biter,
fine.
bro. He's out here biting
That's
kneecaps.
fine.
He
Yeah, and
don't.
that's who he is. Like, I don't even think like like there's no argument to have a coaching change made. I don't think he has
No,
to change who he is.
no.
All this blah blah blah. Don't care. What it was just incredibly tragic. And you know who recognizes tragedy? A Chargers fan. And when I saw the wheels start to come off, I was like, oh my God, they're all coming off. And I just sat in silence.
Yeah.
And Chelsea's like, oh, do you think, this is my wife, by the way. Like, oh, do you think, no, this is getting bad. Just so you know, this is getting really bad.
Yeah.
Like, there's not, like, these are the kinds of spirals that are so hard to get out of. They're uncontrollable. They're beyond the pale. They're forever faded. We are so cooked right now. Like you can just start to feel it happen. Dude, the ball, I mean, people are going to be out there, talking about Purdy this, Purdy that. The guy overthrew the guy by 10 yards, threw it off a guy's helmet for a catch. And then the guy immediately goes to the interview and is like, bro, a ladybug landed on my shoe today. And you're not going to believe this, but I just knew it was in the stars. And I'm like, this is like what it's like to be a Lions fan, a Chargers fan, a Browns fan, a Bills fan. Like, this is
Cardinals
our
fan.
life.
Yeah.
This is our life. And the one thing I'll say, in the total opposite of what I was talking about to sort of lead off in relating to your wife or my wife, was that she hurt for the first time.
Ooh,
She now knows
the
what it's. She
pain.
goes, this sucks. This hurts. And I was like, oh, welcome to it. Don't you love sports? Isn't
Dude.
this great? Come on in. Oh my God, what a miserable existence we live. But just painful. And I'm so sorry, Lions fans, because it just spiraled.
Dude, it did. And they started so hot. Like, dude,
Dominant.
I didn't even start out watching the game because I was just in a miserable state of mind, as you can imagine. And I like was just sulking, hanging out with my 3-week-old daughter. And I was just like, all right, let me just see what's going on in this game. And they're up 24-7. And I was just like, they're gonna fucking do it. Like
Hell
they're
yeah,
gonna
chicken noodle soup for the soul. Let's do this. Yeah.
yeah, dude. Like, hey, I mean, if the Ravens can't go, at least the fucking
Go
Lions
for
are
the
gonna do it. Let's
Lions.
go,
Yeah.
baby. Yeah. And of course, it just of course that's when I started paying attention to the game. I don't know
Of
about you,
course.
dude,
Yeah.
but I have like a real thing, like just a real sicko behavior where I'm like, okay, if I start talking about this game or if I acknowledge is it like its existence, something bad's gonna happen. And usually it does. And I know that has nothing to do with me. I know that's totally like main character syndrome, but like
I
that's
don't
what
know.
happened, bro. Like the moment I started giving any kind of energy towards a game I don't truly care about, it didn't go my way. I This is how bad I have main character syndrome, and I don't want to bring it back to me because that's just main character syndrome in itself in a nutshell. But like before the Ravens game, I was even thinking, I was like, do I put a bet on the Chiefs just to like, reverse jinx this
Yeah, you got
bitch?
to reverse jinx it. I don't think that's that just makes sense to me.
Yeah, but then I also started having thoughts in my head. I'm like, well, I can't do that. Then I'm not a real fan. Like, I can't make money off a heartbreak. People like Chase or Hesse would make fun of me for that. Can't do that.
You can hedge your pain.
Should have done it. You know what? Because main character syndrome. I'm telling you, bro. If I would have put a bet on the Chiefs, Ravens would have won by 3 touchdowns. I'm telling you right now. And if I would have put a bet on the Niners to come back, hey, I would have secured that dub there too. Would have been out some money, would have had to explain it to the wife. But you know what? Hey, we've done that before. So, we're well prepared for that. Now Chase is going to make fun of me for not placing that bet. So apparently I
Yeah.
just don't know Chase well enough. I think that was just a
Hey,
lose-lose for your
remember what
boy.
Chase said? Those homies aren't your homies. The friends that do that. You know what I mean? Now
Yeah.
he's back in. Now I was like, we turned him around. Now he's become one of us. One of us. Yeah.
So, I mean, if you guys have any skin in the game this, on the February 11th, if you're a Chiefs fan, if you like Patrick Mahomes, if you just really fucking love Taylor Swift, make sure you're placing bets on the 49ers. And if you just really get like your rocks off on like off Brock Purdy, you're placing bets towards Taylor Swift to win that thing. Because then you're just reverse jinxing it. Don't pull a Dugan. Don't lead with your heart. Lead with your gambling brain. That's what we're trying to tell you.
Yeah, you can either win in your heart or you can win in your wallet. Trying to do both is greedy. Don't do that. That's you're asking too much.
Yeah.
There's only so much that the fates will allow. You can either be happy in your heart or you can make a little cash. Those
Yeah.
are your choices.
Chase mentioned it earlier in the chat too. Like, obviously, this Super Bowl is going to be big, right? Because like last year, Brock Purdy getting hurt. The whole thing we would always make fun of Niner fans about is like, oh, ha ha ha, like you still wouldn't have won without Brock Purdy or with Brock Purdy. Well, now they kind of proved us wrong. Brock Purdy's out there. I still don't think he's like a great quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback. I think
He's
he's
fine. No
definitely,
one's ever like really hates him. He's just fine. That's all anyone's ever said about him is
yeah.
that like we're like, okay, like yeah, he has like a good roster around him and he's fine and he like manages the team. That's fine. Jared Goff's fine. Like a lot of these guys are just fine and like they can win. It's fine.
Now, do we think he is on like the Trent Dilfer type of fine, or is he more like Eli Manning kind of like fine? Because like I'm a firm believer. I don't think Eli Manning was like that great, right?
Yeah, he wasn't that great.
Yeah. So
With the
maybe,
faces we made, if you're watching, it's better because we're like, great. It's very
yeah.
uncomfortable. Yeah.
Like, do we feel like that's kind of the category he's in, and do we think he can pull it off?
I think he can pull it off. I think there's enough talent around him. And I think but don't go down 14 again. Wrong team to do that.
Yeah.
This is not, the Chiefs are not the Lions. This isn't their first rodeo. Like
No.
that's just all I will say, right? You
Battle
saw how
tested.
painful it was for the Ravens to go down 14. It felt like 1,000.
Yep.
They were never even out of that game. Never. The Ravens were never out of that game, frankly. Like they
No.
really weren't. But I also text people at the end of the first quarter that this game is over.
Yeah.
So whatever that means, you know what I mean? So like you don't want to do that if you're Brock Purdy. This is not the team you want to be down to. Can they still do it? Sure. I don't know. Chase believes the conspiracy and the fix is in. This is all Niners all day, and it does feel like the league would love to have a Niners win. I'm sure. I'm sure that's like a good story.
It's a win-win
So
for
if
the
you're
league, dude.
yeah, so if you're a believer in that sort of thing, sure. But like but I don't know. I think look, if he wins, it's going to be really hard to like poo-poo him too much. But at the same time, I don't know. I think he's okay. I just think he's okay.
Yeah.
Look, what I will continue to go back to, and actually, this is the argument I get into all the time, and this is a very roundabout way of getting to it. But I just trust my eyes, and I don't see anything special with Brock Purdy. I just don't.
No, not
I
at
see
all.
a good player. I see a good quarterback, but I don't see that he's different than Goff. I don't see that he's different than shoot, is he Dak? I mean, I don't know like what he's different than really. He had a 4 interception game. Like he can be disastrous. A lot of these guys can. I see really like a league of like Patrick Mahomes, a couple of other guys, which like maybe you believe can come back because of their arm strength or something. But there's a bunch of game managers out there, man, that are like,
Yeah.
plus game managers at best, and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, I guess.
Yeah. I would like to see Christian McCaffrey get a ring though. That'd be cool.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Debo's awesome. Kittle's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of dudes on that team that are really awesome.
Yeah. I'm definitely rooting for the Niners, which sucks. I don't like that. I I'll
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
It's gross, It's like
It's pretty tough, man. It's
you
pretty
want to
tough
eat
out here.
shit or drink piss, like really, like which one's worse? I will say like urine's sterile, and I think probably the Niners are too. So I guess I'll root for the Niners in that case. But yeah, that's really all I got before the Super Bowl. I don't know about you.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I will just say that just generally my stance on the league has always been like there are the Chargers and then there's 31 other teams I don't care about. And as soon as they win the Super Bowl, I write it in my journal like doesn't count, kind of whack.
Yeah.
Next year, and I've been doing it 58 years in a row, if my count's correct. But one of these years it's gonna be us.
Well, before we move on from the NFL, though, let's talk about you really quick. We called it like I feel like 2 months ago that Jim Harbaugh was going to go to the Chargers.
Yeah.
You win the
So
national championship with Michigan, and that led to, all right, he's going to go ahead and go to the NFL again because he's about to get just absolutely fucked from college standpoint with sanctions. We were right. He did end up going to the Chargers. Now, how do you feel?
ecstatic. Couldn't be happier. Over the moon. Absolutely love the hire. I'm drinking milk. I've given up on chicken. I'm on the whole regiment, dude. I'm doing it all. Who's got it better than us? Nobody. I'm ready for all of it, man. Put it right into my veins. I'm super stoked about Harbaugh. We've needed an adult in the room for a long time. Someone that holds the franchise accountable. It's exactly what I was talking to you about the other Harbaugh and like other conversations we've had about even whether it's like Tomlin who might be slipping out of his hands. Hey, it's been an incredible run. Whatever the case may be, I just think it makes a lot of sense to have someone at the top that everybody respects, everybody has to respond to, who sets the standard every single day. I'm thrilled, man. I'm stoked about it. I couldn't be happier. Painfully, of course, again, this is like for anybody of my in-laws that are listening to this is like the worst. It's like we stole your coach. The Lions lost. I'm sorry you're having to listen to all of this and like have me deliver the news. And you're like, hey, I just want to be supportive. But you're having to listen to all of this. But, he won at Michigan. He did everything he was set to accomplish there. And I can't wait for him to come bring it to Los Angeles / San Diego.
Ugh, gross. How many times do you think he slipped up like in his little
We all do, man.
His little media tour so far? Because I mean, he played for the Chargers when they were in San Diego.
We all do. When we win the Super Bowl, we should take it to San Diego first.
You think they'll do a parade in San Diego?
No, but they should do that.
They definitely should do that.
That's what they should do. That's probably what they won't do, but it's what they should do.
Does that play at all with you? The fact that he was a quarterback for the Chargers?
I mean, that's like not the most important thing. It's nice that there's images of him being a Charger, and I think like it's great for social media. Yeah. How much it really matters, I don't know. Like if he went and took the Colts job from Irsay, like whatever. I mean, he was a kind of a journeyman guy, so yeah. I don't think that means a whole lot. I think what means a whole lot is that he knows how to win.
Yeah, I think what it does come down to though is it's kind of like I think he even said this that most places he's coached at, he's had some kind of tie to. Michigan, played there. Chargers, I think it means more for him for sure, because he's put like kind of blood, sweat, and tears into that franchise. And I think ultimately what it comes down to is what you said, just an adult in the room. Like that's what that guy's been every stop is just he runs a team. The one thing I am worried about for you is this probably means Greg Roman is going to be your offensive coordinator. So good luck with that. That's what I'll leave you with that.
Don't care. Whatever Harbaugh's doing, I'm all in. Couldn't make it more clear. I was like, I ride with Harbaugh. Whatever we're up to. I'm with it. We're good. Anybody though who wants to trade Herbert for JJ McCarthy, that's fun. Again, enjoy your fantasy leagues. That's a lot of what great fodder for you and your chat. I'm sure you guys are having the best of time this weekend, plotting your Justin Herbert to the Browns trade or whatever you're up to. It's not going to happen. So just everybody chill out. Yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, here's another thing I got to take up with Big Cat. So I got a couple of things for Mr. Cat, who I know is a listener, obviously. I mean, as the number one podcast in America, must feel rough to be number two. A couple things we need to address real quick. Number one, as stated on this podcast months ago, and I think we were all just kind of sleeping on it, the Bears were never a reality. Harbaugh was always destined for the Chargers. Bears are a loser franchise. Crown the Chargers king. Number two, Mr. Cat wakes up this morning to start a fight with the Arizona Wildcats basketball team, throwing out a poll as to whether or not we would actually have fear over playing the Wisconsin Badgers in the NCAA tournament. That was 10 years ago, bro. And I want you, if I could ask a producer to zoom in further, I would. That was 10 years ago, bro. Frank Kaminsky ain't walking through that door. Sam Decker ain't walking through that door. Bo Ryan could be dead for all I know. I'm sure he still looks like a Badger. But ain't nobody afraid of you. You just came to McHale and you got slapped by 25-30. I can't even remember the score because it felt so damn good. I could taste all of it. We ain't afraid of you, bro. So stay off our mentions. Get out of here. No one's afraid of Wisconsin. We'll schedule you anytime. You had a nice little run. Congratulations. You beat us a couple of times. Do you think we live in fear of you now?
Oh, and by the way, fuck Blattman too.
Get out. And Blattman, you soft ass. Yeah. You kidding me? You cuck? Are you kidding me? Just because he's your boss, you're like, oh, yeah, I forgot. We are afraid, Dad. Get out of here. Dude, Mr. Cat, I respect you, but I was pissed. I'm like, just stay out of my life right now. I need a break from you.
Will not be watching PMT this week.
No, I will not. I am not a supporter this week.
Oh, well, we will be listening to macrodosing though, because hey, PFT had nothing to do with this. All right, we're keeping him out of it.
I'm still a big PFT guy. He knows he's a sensible man.
Unless we play JMU, maybe then we'll be afraid.
Forgot how pissed off I was about that.
Yeah, you were pretty mad this morning when you were texting me and Hesse about it. I just stayed out of it because I was still in isolation at that point.
Yeah, you're still in isolation. Yeah, I was like, wow, I can't even wake him up for Arizona basketball. I'm like, this guy is bad. Yeah. I was like, come on.
I was in a dark place, bro. I'll tell you.
But like, I'll be like, what are we talking about, right? Like, so Duke beat us in the 2001 championship game. What have we done to Duke ever since? We've just been smacking them around the gym. Like, what do you think? Because we lost one time, we're like forever afraid of you, and then I like have cold sweats about Big Ten basketball? What a joke!
Frank Kaminsky's not there anymore. Sam Decker's not there anymore.
That's what I'm like. Who are we talking about? Like what? Yeah. Like what?
I can't name one player in Wisconsin.
We beat them by like 25 just this year. Like, what are we talking about? I was at the game. I was there. Yeah, I seen it.
You were a witness.
Yeah, like what, dude? Am I gonna have to put up a? All right, jump shots soon. All right, hey, can we send cash in the chat? Send cash for putting up a billboard in Wisconsin.
No, we're gonna put one up in Chicago, right next to the new Barstool office.
Yeah, that's right. I guess we got to put it in Chicago, and then just like, hey, Wisconsin, you suck. Sign, Tucson by way of Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
very confusing for Bulls fans.
Speaking of the Cats, though, it's been a interesting few weeks for both sports. We had Hunter on last week to talk about Jedd Fisch leaving and kind of went over all that stuff. Some news, and Henny, you don't even know this. We will have Noah Fafita on the show next Monday. So we booked that. Look forward to that. Fair warning, we will probably not talk about like, hey, how do you feel about Jedd Fisch, blah, 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 because if you guys don't know, him and T-Mac have their own podcast called Island Time in the Desert. They've done a really good job of actually showing exactly how they feel about like Jedd Fisch leaving, the day going into that, like the whole thing. They just released a whole documentary on like their whole thought process of like if they're going to leave or not. So I encourage you to go look at that. Go watch their documentary. Go look up their podcast. They talk about that ad nauseum. What we will be talking to him about is just like, okay, what do we do now? Right? Like, how do we feel about Brennan? How do we feel about the offense going forward? What's your plan of action to try to maintain this team? That's kind of what we're going to be, talking to Noah about next week, as well as maybe, dipping our toe in the Ravens stuff because he's a Ravens fan, and talking some golf because, he is our golf buddy. But make sure you guys tune in for that next week. Henny, I don't know what your schedule is like. Hopefully it ties into your schedule.
Figure it out, man. Figure it out.
But we're looking at around 4:00 Mountain Standard Time next week. We'll be going live with that. So be on the lookout for that. But outside of that, both sports, like I said, the Cats basketball team has been so up and down, right? Whether it's beating USC, almost losing to UCLA, getting beat by Oregon State, which, God, fucking gouge my eyes out now with that game. And then beating Oregon, which we were supposed to lose that game. What have your thoughts been so far with the Cats lately, Henny?
It's a deep one, but I mean, you want to talk just basketball, right?
We'll talk football here in a minute.
Yeah, I was like, we get there, okay, but just in terms of basketball, look, this has been tough. It's been a weird season. I will say, though, there's definitely been, hey, you've caught in a text where I'm like, dude, what are we doing? But I will say what I like about this squad and what I'm really holding on to is when the lights are brightest, when the team's the biggest, when everybody says that they can't, they just go out and win. So it's been really interesting because they clearly are just having issues in terms of like rising up to half empty arenas, playing road games, whatever the case may be. And I really couldn't put a finger on it. I would say that, certainly I think it's interesting to see that the questions being raised about Tommy are probably questions I raised a long time ago. What's interesting though is that they now have the talent that, like, certainly in part that I think a lot of folks are asking for. And now it's like, well, can he motivate that talent? Like, it still kind of feels, and I think it's actually going to be a similar conversation around actually our football coach too. These feel like really just nice guys, like really
Yeah.
quality, nice guys.
Which is
And I think
cool, but
yeah,
dangerous.
which is great. I think it's like one of the best things in the world. And when like it's right and if it works, like what could be better than having a nice guy win?
Yep.
What's tough is if you go on like a losing streak and things start to go bad, and then on like the off, the antithesis of what you're seeing from these guys is that you're seeing Rick Pitino at a stand saying, when I lose a game, I walk into a cold shower and think about killing myself. And that's the kind of example he sets for his team in terms of like losing, right? Now,
Right.
that might sound like crazy behavior. That might sound like, inappropriate language to you. That might sound like a lot of things. But what it does do is it sets a course for like what the standard is. And I think there is like a part of like sports fans or like just anybody who competed for a living in any walk of life that you do kind of like that edge. And so I think we're riding that balance. But what I will say about this team and what I really love about this team is they keep winning the big ones.
Yeah.
What I'm more worried about, honestly, is like them escaping that first and second round because they're not up for it. Because it feels like they can rise to the moment. And I like that the talent can rise to the moment. And I think that they have the horses to do it. Sorry to compare these kids to horses. I don't know. Is that a thing? Seems
No,
weird.
I think
But
you're
like,
fine. You're fine.
you know what I'm saying? Like when we have all of this and like it's there and it feels right. And so like, I don't know. I'm trying not to ride the waves of this too much. I'm certainly not afraid of Wisconsin. Go ahead and put them in our bracket. Please check that box. But in terms of like just how this team's performed, it's been disappointing at times. But I will say that they keep getting up for the big games. And if they keep answering the bell when it matters the most, then I think that's probably what I would ask more than anything.
Yeah. I think my only concern is like with Tommy. I think a big thing, what I've noticed and a lot of people have noticed, is like just the in-game adjustment stuff. Is like when shit starts hitting the fan, he doesn't do a whole lot to change it. Right? When like Boswell like cannot make a basket, he keeps him on the floor. When Umar Ballo's having a tough game, he just keeps him on the floor. And like that's a little concerning, but it might be too because we're still like not the early part of the season. It's January, so like the middle part.
Yeah.
But I think maybe his thought process behind this, like, well, I got to keep these guys in. They got to learn how to overcome that hump. They got to get through it. And Boswell had a better game against Oregon. So I mean, he's young. I mean, I think he's still 17, right? That's the joke. So he's got to work his way through that. And Ballo is Ballo. The thing that makes me excited is the fact that Caleb Love is absolutely electric. He's incredible. And Keyshawn Johnson is just one of the best, like, I would say, well-rounded players that we've had at Arizona in a while. I wish Pella Larson would turn it on more because he's very good when he does.
Yeah.
But overall, I think we're fine. It's very frustrating to sit there and watch us lose to a team like Oregon State. But then it is hilarious that Oregon State the next game absolutely destroys ASU also in Corvallis.
That's definitely hilarious. No doubt,
Yeah.
that's hilarious.
But I don't know. It's a long season, bro. Got a lot of game left, and as long as we get in the tournament, that's all that matters.
That's where I'm at. And what my complaint over the last couple of years is I just didn't like the high end, and I thought I needed to recruit better. And I think there's way better athletes in the gym.
Yeah.
So the ceiling is just innately higher because there's better players on the court. So I believe in this team despite the frustration. The thing is, the losses just hurt more because you expect more.
Yep.
And this always goes back to the conversation I've always had about Arizona basketball that I just always expect the absolute greatest, which is why I don't ever wake up in fear of any other team in America, frankly. No
Right.
one strikes fear into me. This is Arizona basketball. The only thing that strikes fear into Arizona basketball is Arizona basketball. So like
Yeah.
as long as they do what they're supposed to do, like I feel good. And like ultimately, I just think it's a higher end, and we still have a ways to go, as you mentioned. So I don't think there's any reason to panic here. Sure, it's frustrating, but at the end of the day, I think we got dudes, and I'll
Yeah.
take a bunch of dudes in my chances in any game.
I do hope that Boswell figures it out, 'cause he's very key to a big run.
Agree.
And I just hope a few of the other guys kind of turn it on. And ultimately, I hope just Arizona takes these like lesser teams, quote unquote, just a little bit more serious, right? Because I think that's been a big thing is just these slow starts too have been kind of haunting them. You know, they go into these kind of lower rated games and they just kind of seem laissez faire, like they just don't give a shit, and then it kind of bites them in the ass. You know, we saw that with UCLA. We ended up winning that game, but like they did not give a fuck about that game until they had to, which
Yeah.
I'm glad they did because then we got a Mick Cronin meltdown, and those are always just the absolute best.
Yeah, which by the way, later loser. I cannot wait to never see UCLA again. What a loser. That guy sucks. Like,
I
I
mean,
mean,
he's gonna get canned anyway, right?
yeah, that guy sucks. Like, I mean, that like talk about so this is when you're like, man, you know what? I'll take Tommy Lloyd all day. That guy's a loser. Like, there's no way I want to be any part of like a Mick Cronin program. Like,
No,
what a loser.
yeah, just absolutely buries his own players, which is so gross.
Yeah, he's like I just there's nothing likable about that guy. He's really
Hmm.
like a monster, man. I mean, he's so unlikable.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on to football really quick.
Yep.
Obviously, like I said, Noah's going to be on the show next week, so we'll dive a little bit deeper. And then we had Hunter on, like I said, but just overall, just two guys that watch the Cats a lot. Like, what are your overall impressions so far, Coach Brennan?
Again, I think it's like just like as I mentioned, I think he's a really nice guy, really great guy. I'm like getting just good. Like he gives you like the warm and fuzzy feeling, right? Like he really does make you think like, hey, like everybody who comes to this program is going to be cared for, loved on, supported, and I think that's incredible. I think that's an absolutely wonderful and great thing. I think you're already seeing that pay some rewards in terms of like the conversation we could have Monday, right? There's guys that are here for that type of vibe, that type of environment. And I think at a place like Arizona, like breeding that type of culture is a more sensible play than trying
Mhm.
to play the cash game, which can be like finite, right? Like that can run out, that can come and go. The
Mhm.
ebbs and flows of a town the size of Tucson, you know, it might not be able to compete with LA, blah 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 blah. Right? We know the story.
Yeah.
Um, so I like it. I think there's challenges that come with it. I think it's like an adjustment from what we just came from because I think it sounds like I think they were like trying to like help fish out in terms of like pushing money through the program and like giving a lot of support there. I think that's going to continue as long as you know, like people continue to be believers. I love that the way the boosters have stepped up, the way the community stepped up, the way everybody's rallying around this. And I think it's all led by like, hey, the guy we get to talk to and many others among that crew, the
Yeah.
family members and everyone around them who's continued to push that. And like, man, hell, I'm super excited to get to talk to them about those things. Uh, dude, it's a beautiful thing. It shouldn't be surprised. Like, I don't know, man. It's probably not surprising to you in terms of the fiber of person that we felt like we've been talking to and some of the connective tissue that all stems from that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it. Of course, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic about all things Arizona football. That's just like what this is.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm excited, man. Like I don't think there's anything reason not to be excited. And I'm in more than just saying I would say excited. I'm as in as I could possibly be.
Yeah. I agree. I'm kind of glad they didn't go ahead and hire Nansen. I think that was like a weird power play by like a lot of the guys on the team where I'm
It's
like,
tricky.
that guy left the team already, like on his own, like, choice. I don't know why they were like slamming the table so hard to bring him back. And especially with like kind of his checkered past and like all that kind of stuff. I think he did a phenomenal job at Arizona. But that was weird. Brennan was like a finalist with Fish the first time and then lost out. So I was already pretty familiar with him. And then
Yeah.
his brother played at Arizona. His wife's an alumni. He was a GA under Dick Tomey. I mean, the guy, huge roots in Tucson. Like the guy wants this job. as much as like Jed Fish said that he wanted this job, which I think at the beginning he did. Like I think I mean, dude, he put in a lot of work. Like as much shit as people will talk about Jed Fish, like he turned the program around. He did what he
Yeah.
said he was going to do. I don't have a whole lot of bad blood with him, except that he keeps taking our players and he kind of lied to the boosters 12 hours beforehand, which I said to Hunter, and whatever, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Um, but this guy wants the job. He wants to be in Tucson. He wants to put down roots. Like he was at San Jose State for like 14 years. Like this is a play that you can run for a long time, right? Which I think that's good. That's what Arizona needs. Like you said, dude, like we've kind of struck out with your flashy hires, right? Your Kevin Sumlins, your Rich Rods, your whatever, right? Like we don't do well with those guys because, like you said, dude, Tucson's not an LA. It's not a Seattle. It's not a whatever. It's going to be tough to keep those guys long term. And it's like, well, why even hire them in the first place if you can't have long term stable success? Whereas Coach Brennan, like, dude, he made San Jose State like an actual power in Mountain West, which is very tough because they have no money. Like you said too, like the boosters were starting to put a lot more money towards Fish. From what I understand, is they're putting even more money into Brennan because they like the guy and they trust the guy. We've already seen it with Humberto Lopez, right? Like we see that he dropped the bag and kept Noah Fafita and T Mac here, which that's Noah will tell you, like, that's not why he stayed. It's not the money. It's because he loves the university. He loves the city. But that helps. It
Yeah.
certainly helps. And he's done that with a few other guys too. So that's dope. The only concern I have really is like coming from San Jose State, playing in the Mountain West. You've never really played in a conference like the Big 12, neither is Arizona. How's that going to translate, right? And then with your coordinators, like how's that going to translate? I'm really excited for like Alonzo Carter, like the running backs coach. He's one of the best recruiters in like the entire West Coast, so that's awesome. I love that they're bringing back what's his face, the wide receivers coach. He was at ASU, but he's like one of our all-time leading receivers. I'm having a brain fart. I don't know. Bringing
Bobby
him
Wade.
back. Bobby Wade, thank you. That's super cool. And I think he has like insane connections in the Phoenix area, which is awesome. Chip Viney, the defensive backs coach, is like very well regarded. Then bringing back, Dwayne Aquina, just an absolute madman for defensive coordinator. Again, huge U of A ties. And the biggest thing too is like all these guys recruit polys really well, like, which is awesome. That's what Arizona's lifeblood was during Dick Tomey's reign. It's literally what our lifeblood is for this team. Like, look at our team right
100%.
now, dude. Noah Fafita, Tatora McMillan, Jacob Manu, Jonas Savanea. Like, that's what this university has built its success on numerous times. So I do love that. I just want to see if some of the other guys can, continue to do it. And I think the thing that made Fish really, really successful is just like how tenacious of a recruiter he is. Like he is a madman with recruiting. And I just want to see what like Brennan's going to do with that. So that's kind of my thoughts with it. I'm excited with like you though, like bringing a guy that actually loves university and like seemingly has done very well with the players so far, like keeping T-Mac, keeping Noah, like that's massive, right? Keeping some of the recruits has been huge because from what I gathered when Fish left, like we were going to lose everybody. Like legit, it was going to
Right.
be a mass exodus. And have we lost guys? Yes, we have lost Ephesians Prysock, which by the way, let's hit on that really quick. How's that guy going to leave and like 2 days earlier puts his jersey out on Twitter? Like, dude, come on. I know you're a young kid and I'm going to forgive you and no hard feelings, but dude, come
Yeah,
on.
for sure. Like I did.
Can't
Yeah.
be doing that shit, dude. That's fucked. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Lost him, lost Jonah Coleman. That sucks. I'm a huge Jonah Coleman guy. I think he's
Same.
going to be awesome. And then just losing a few of the recruits. But overall, like Fish hasn't been able to take a whole lot from this team, which is pretty refreshing. So, and from what everybody says, it's like what you said. Coach Brennan just seems like a really fucking cool guy. And he's earned the trust of the players so far. So let's hope he keeps it that way.
Yeah. And like, look, man, it's always the thing is it's always nerve wracking when you hire a new coach.
Yeah.
Right. Nothing feels good until he goes out and wins the first game. And then you're all like, this guy's the man. right?
Yeah.
Like it's as simple as like going out and winning a couple games, landing a couple recruits, hearing about a few names that you didn't know about, and him bringing them in. Like you just got to go do it. And they put the faith in him. I believe that like he can deliver. Like there's no reason not to. It's just like I have just like the same nerves I would have anytime we hire a coach. I wouldn't say it's like any more, it's any less. I actually probably feel better about this one than 75% of Arizona hires in my lifetime.
Yeah, you and I
So
both didn't like the Fish hire when it happened,
yeah,
and
like that
it
one didn't
happened.
make any sense to me. I didn't. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I didn't even think that was good. And obviously, he did a very good job here. So,
yeah,
we're not in the position we're in without Jed Fish. So, like, all the drama aside, he helped put this program back on the map. So, uh, yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna wait and see. I got to wait and see approach. But like, in terms of just getting a head start, he's returning a bunch of core guys.
yep,
He's got a really good roster. They go out and win, and then they go and recruit. I mean, it's that simple. Like, go find some wins. It's really nice to see like an Arizona friendly coaching staff, though. I mean, it just feels like I said, it feels like the kind of thing that I think a lot of folks have been kind of pining for a long time, and I think this community is going to rally around. And I think that kind of stuff actually matters too,
yeah, big time.
because this is a community that will support all of that stuff. Don't get me wrong; like they absolutely 110% will. And we've had like some back and forth conversations about what it means to the city, and like maybe even with Noah, like in passing or whatever. This stuff matters. This town does care, but they just have to feel the love too. And
Yeah,
I think they're going to get that from this group. And I think that the coach can capitalize on that. So all good things, man. I think it's all good things. We just gotta wait and see approach, because until you win, nothing feels comfortable.
yeah. All right, man. To end the show, we do have a new segment they're going to be unrolling here. So let me go ahead and run the video. Give me 1 second. Yes. So as you guys have seen in the past, your boy, I'm on the message boards. All right. I'm on that bad boy. I'm seeing all the rumors. I see all the drama, and it's not always just drama on the field. All right. Sometimes some pretty good content is on those message boards. So to roll this segment out, I have a couple things I'm gonna bring to light that I found on the message boards. All right. The first one, and they're both Arizona related. So it's nice that we're coming off, talking about Arizona sports. The first one was, I don't know if you caught this, Henny, but we hadn't hired our offensive coordinator yet, who, by the way, is now Dino Babers, which I like the hire. I think it's going to be good. Huge U of A connections. Did really well at Syracuse. But there was a quick little moment there where Nick Rolovich's name was being rolled out. Yes, the former Washington State coach who just refused to get the COVID vaccine. As you know, I'm definitely on the U of A message boards, and that room lit that motherfucker up. Like, there was a full-blown red versus blue, just cutting each other's throats on the message boards. It was nasty, and it was, like, 3 different threads, and it would be, like, a thread about, like, nothing related to that, and then somebody would bring up the Rolo rumor again, and it would just it was so bad that Jason Shearer had to literally lock the thread and be like, "Alright, time out. Go to your rooms. We're not doing this anymore." So, like, that was hilarious, and I only wish I like the Dino Babers hire, but god, Rolovich being hired would have been just money for message board, like, rumors. The other one I wanted to bring up, and I'm glad we talked about Arizona basketball, because this is one that I found extremely hilarious. All right. Somebody put a thread, and it's just titled penetration. Okay. Yep. Guys thought, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and say penetration. He put, guys driving the ball inside was a major difference maker tonight. Key to deep march runs or guards that can penetrate. Drive and score a layup, drive and pull up floater, drive and dish out for three. We got several backdoor looks tonight, all set up by a guard driving the ball inside. I agree with that, right? Penetration's extremely important.
It's
Take it from a guy
key.
who just had a kid. All right. Penetration's extremely important. And in pure message board fashion, there were gifs of trains just going into tunnels, just full blown. Somebody put, "It's always about the penetration." Somebody put, "We all know what penetration is." And then somebody put, "I like penetration." And then another one put, "You're a girl." That's all they put was, "You're a girl." So if you guys aren't familiar with message boards, go ahead and go sign up for one. I'm telling you right now, they're extremely fun. This is going to be a segment I'm going to be rolling out week over week. It can be about basketball, it can be about football. I'm going to be going all over. I looked at the SEC today, looked at Alabama's, I looked at the Big 12s, I looked at the Big 10s. So I'll be bringing some fire. Henny, do you have any thoughts on either one of those?
I mean, I guess I'm pro penetration
Yeah,
generally,
generally.
just as a stance. Haven't decided how I'm going to vote yet, but I probably should dive into that Rolovich. So it sounds like that could be really that could be like really poignant to any decisions that I make in the pending year. Given that we are upon an election year, probably important to dig in there. I mean, folks. I mean, honestly, if you hadn't really thought about it, like you probably get most of your best information from message boards, right, Paul? So
Yeah, I was gonna say if
uh,
you have listened to the Paul Feinbaum show, this is
yeah,
just the written form.
yeah, exactly. And it's my experience that those people are the best writers. So get in
It was
there.
great. Yeah. So be on the lookout for that recurring segment. We're trying to do more segments. So if you guys have any ideas of like stuff that you want
Yeah,
us to
throw
cover or
them
anything
at
like
us.
that, please throw it in our DMs. Text Henny, text me. Hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. We're out here. Please let us know. But outside of that, dude, I think we covered it pretty well, right? And I mean, the Suns are doing kind of their thing. They put six together, then they lost one, and then they beat the Heat tonight. So
We
I
can
don't
jump into that next week. We'll have an off week in the
know.
NFL, and it'll just
Yeah.
all be about our royalty, and then we can dive into that. And we gave the people an hour and 20 minutes. This is what they wanted.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Cool. So, hey, if you want to hit us up in our DMs, you got to follow us first, right? Follow us on Twitter/X, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, where you might be watching this, YouTube. Click that subscribe button. Make sure that you're tuning in week over week. Yes, we're going to be back to doing this week over week. We're doing it Mondays for now. That's subject to change. We might go back to Sundays when I am not on paternity leave. So this is just the easiest way to do it. But also, hey, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button on Spotify, Apple, whatever it is, right? And then don't forget too, like it's almost springtime, right? I mean, it's January. It's still pretty cold, maybe in some of the places you're listening. But what I will tell you is those golf courses are still open and they're playing probably pretty well right now, especially out here in Arizona. Um, Golf is starting to catch on. I know Live is going to be starting again. PGA stuff is going to be starting again. And if you're getting the itch, hit up our friend over at Tasty. Go ahead and get those teas that just taste right. Throw one of those bad boys in your mouth. Walk into the next tee. Throw that dip can out. Just go ahead and do that. We don't need those. Throw in a Tasty. All right. That's all I got. Henny, you got anything?
No, man, you just did so. I mean, I'm just so proud of you right now. You killed it. Nothing more. Nothing more to add. But
Cool.
you're on notice, Mister Cat.
Yeah, you are definitely on notice, Dan Katz. Well, with that, guys, we'll talk to you later. Be on the lookout for that Noah Fafita interview. We'll be live next week, Monday, 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. If you want to hear about everything that went down, what's going to be going down going forward, tune in. We'll talk to you later. Bye.